Cousin Sal here, letting you know that nobody does sports like FanDuel Sportsbook. All new users get a $1,000 risk-free bet when you sign up and make your first deposit. Just place your first bet and get up to $1,000 back if you don't win. Sign up today, FanDuel.com/Sal.
21 plus and present in Colorado. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Super J-Cast. I'm Joel Abraham, joined by Damon McDonald. It's been quite a week for both of us, Damon. You are now fully inoculated against the Rona, the COVID-19. How are you feeling?
Good. It's pretty weird. Again, New Jersey hit the ball out of the park on this one. And usually we're a state that's so muddled in red tape, you'll choke on it. But we hit the ball out of the park. And it was a smooth process. I even sat down, and I don't know. And Cheryl was like, and when I got back in the car, I kind of got a little bit overwhelmed with it. Like I was just like, wow, that was a historic moment, and it was. So we feel good. Cheryl yesterday was very tired, and kind of achy and kind of out of it. I think she's feeling better this morning. I talked to her for a second. I felt a little bit off yesterday, but as I was telling Joel, I'm not sure if it was the vaccine or the 3 beers that I had before I went to bed. So not 100% sure where it lied, but it's good. And but me aside, Joel, let's add to the layer of fucking just a horrific stretch run you have. You're going to turn the corner. I promise you. You're going to turn the corner. But man, I felt so bad. So as I talk about something that I'm not really talking about, why don't you talk about what happened to you this week?
Basically, on Thursday, little Esther was unwell. She had a high fever. And we gave her some Calpol, like some baby's paracetamol, and she had a little nap, and she seemed okay after that. But then a few hours later, she started shaking and was crying. It was upsetting because obviously Mally just goes hysterical when this sort of thing happens. So she's like holding Esther and sobbing like, oh, I'm like, oh my God. So we decided to just go to the hospital, and it turned out Esther had a urinary tract infection. Apparently it's quite common in little girls when poo goes in the lady bits. You've got to keep that all clean.
Yeah, it's like a pool. It is like a pool.
Yeah. She was fine. Like by the next day, she was pretty much back to her best. Just a little bit of a fever, but these hospitals, once they get the pre-authorization letter from the insurance company, then they're just like, right, let's try and bleed these people for every single dollar and cent we can get. So the doctor's like, okay, well, I don't want to let you leave until we've had 48 hours without fever from your daughter. I was like, oh, whatever. So you're going to have to hold my hand through this episode, Damon, because whilst I did watch all of these matches, most of them were watched on my phone whilst I was following Esther around the ward, holding her drip, her IV, while she went sort of rampaging around, shouting at people in her little hospital pajamas. So she's absolutely fine now. We're back at the hotel, so fingers crossed everything's okay. I'm sure she's fine, but yeah, it was a testing week. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, man, you can't catch a fucking break. Yeah, I'm glad she's okay. One, obviously. And two, I hope mom and dad are okay, because, yeah, that's always a nice little jolt to get the adrenaline going. Yeah, man. Can people just collectively hold hands and send Joel some karma? And by karma, I mean money. Just make him feel better. Buy him a gift. Do
I'll set over a
something.
prayer circle. Just everyone hold hands.
Right. Do you have any idea what this guy's going through in the past year? This has turned into a telethon for Joel. I'll be Jerry Lewis. Hang in there, man. Hang in there. I mean, oof. You're a strong dude, because I don't know how well I would handle everything that you're going through. And I hate to remind you of everything that you're going through, but I would hate it. It's just, hang in there, man. Hang in there.
Luckily, I've got New Japan Pro Wrestling to keep me smiling, and I cheer for my favourite wrestler, the Great Okan, as he takes on Toriano. No way he can lose that, surely. I mean, if he lost, then that will be it. That would be the last straw for me. I'd have nothing to keep going for. But as long as the Great Okan is still in the New Japan Cup and is not eliminated, then I will keep fighting, Damon.
Well, you're fighting right now, so that might change in about 5 minutes. But just hang on, That's all I have.
Yeah, of course. You listeners listening to this from the future, you will be appreciating my use of dramatic irony there, because, I've just seen the result of said match, Damon. Do you want me to tell you what happened?
I'm not looking at the streams, but sure, go right ahead. Please tell me that the Great Okan has defeated Toriano.
He has not. In a shocking upset, Toriano, the master thief bullshit man, whatever we're calling him, has won. So that's it. Great Okan is done. He's donezo, out of the cup, and that's all from me. Goodbye.
Oh, no, please. God, no.
Right, let's get on to that later, because that's put me in a bad mood. But
oh my God.
I'm going to open up with a question, because this is something that did make me smile. Atari Legend says, after Jon Moxley was burned to death by sparklers, do you think that New Japan should strip him of the IWGP United States title for being part of such an embarrassing fiasco? And Spannerhead29 says, did the ending of Revolution remind you guys of any bad bedroom experiences?
It didn't particularly, but now that you bring it up, yeah, what a fucking nightmare scenario, like the worst case scenario that could possibly happened on that. And here's the thing.
I'll tell you what, that would have been great in a KOPW match.
Yeah.
That's like a Yano style exploding barbed wire death match.
But that would have been fantastic, because you would expect that from Yano. So yeah, that would be great. I look, again, worst case scenario where you have what I thought was a pretty well worked barbed wire match. I mean, a lot of the times those things are not that great, those matches. And the explosion, again, we're not blowing up the fucking ring, but we're trying to make the visualization of an explosion that happens to be surrounding the ring with the dust and the clouds and all that. And the sirens and the countdown, and I mean they ripped the playbook straight from the finish anyway. They ripped this right from many a FMW exploding barbed wire match where it's always Onita who after a hard fought battle he doesn't want the guy that he respects at least to get blown to bits, so he's going to cover him, and they're both going to walk off triumphantly in the night and probably make out. A bloody Onita and Terry Funk making out in the dressing room. But you need the explosion. I mean, that's what people are there for. That's what the hype was for. And what a dribbling cum shot that was. just a lackluster. Just blah, 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 blah. Have I ever had a bedroom experience that would be like that? Boy, I'm sure I have. I bet you Cheryl would be a better one to talk, but she could rattle them off on her head. I probably tried to block them out. There have been times. Well, let me ask you this: would drinking nights count? Because there have been drinking nights where, like, I would just be like, this is not going to end, so you might as well just roll over and go to bed now. Right? You've had that, right, Joel?
Yeah, I think we've all been there.
Right.
My worst maybe I talked about this before on the podcast. One night I walked the entire length of Brighton. I don't any listeners who've been there. From one end of the city to the other to hook up. Well, I thought we were going to be hook up with a lady, and I arrived, and 5 minutes later she fell asleep, so I ended up walking back home. So I suppose that will be a good equivalent to how this exploding ring went about.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, I've had plenty of that. Like, I've had stuff where it's like you're on the phone with a girl, and like I had a girlfriend who a girl I was kind of singing. And I would work late. I would work until about like 11 o'clock at night. But then I would get off work and I would pick her up. She would like climb out of her house I was like, this is like high school, like 17, 18, I guess. But I would work in a movie theater and I would get home, and I would pick her up. And she would have to sneak out of the house a lot of times. She would have to literally climb out of her window, down the roof, shimmy down the drain pipe, and into the car, and whoop, away we go. But there have been plenty of nights where she's like, okay, can't wait to see you, blah, blah, blah. We'll see you in a bit. Okay, all right, see you. And then I pull up, and, I had to pull a little a little ways from the house just to not wake up anybody. And we had a designated spot. And I'd be waiting for like an hour. Like, what the fuck? And it's not like you had cell phones back then either. So it's not like you could just ring her up or text her. So you just wait. And it's just like, then it becomes a part of, all right, do I cut my losses? What? And it sucks because it's like, it kills you. Like, people don't know the fucking struggles back then, Joel. Is like, you can't just send a text and be like, okay, well, I'm out, I'm going home, whatever, blah, 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 and see where your other friends are, if anybody, the old you-ups go firing out. Like, you didn't have that. And it ruined your whole entire fucking night because everybody else is elsewhere and you don't know where anybody's at. You have no way to get a hold of them. But the fucking struggles we went through to have sex is unbelievable. It really was. If you really think about the logistics of how we got laid,
everything was harder back then. Video games, the original Super Mario Brothers. Once you lost those 5 lives, game over. That was it. You're going back to the beginning of the fucking game. No checkpoints there. Kids these days.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's like everything. Like, again, just think about the idea of, okay, you have to ask a girl out in person. You have to, or you just hanging out and it just happens. Okay, great. You're at a party, whatever. Okay. But still, you have to make it happen. It doesn't just fall in your lap. You got to fucking work it a little bit. And then the idea of, okay, so where are we going to go to make this happen? And then, okay, how do I make this happen again? Is probably the harder part. How do I, the logistic, what's your phone number? And then they give you your phone number. And then you got to call them. And then you got to actually talk to them. And then you set up something to do, and then you got to meet at the fucking pizza place, and then you got to I feel like I'm talking from the Happy Days or something, but
calling their house, and then their dad answers the phone.
Right. Nicole, the phone's for you. Right. The fucking horror. Oh, you're trying to fucking make some headway here, and like your brother picks up the phone. Brian, I'm on the phone. Who are you talking to? Why am I doing a whole conversation?
Someone tries to connect to the internet, the dial-up while you're on the phone.
I'm on the phone. Oh, my goodness.
What are we talking about again? Dating
in the late 80s, early 90s. All right.
Okay, well, Liam says, hey, who do you want to see fight in an exploding barbed wire death match? So give me 2 New Japan wrestlers who you think would do
well in that.
As good a job, if not better than Kenneth Omega and John Moxley did.
And again, just to be clear, I thought they did a good job, minus the fart in church, as I like to say.
Oh yeah. The wrestling part of it was tremendous.
I thought it was really good. Boy, Moxley's a good guy to pick. I mean, if I can't pick him,
Despy, Deathmatch Despy. I'll give you Despy and Shingo. He seems like he was up for it.
Shingo would be down. Struggle. Yeah. How about Suzuki? You think Suzuki would be decent?
Do you think Homa can still go?
He did a couple days ago. He did. But then you want to put like somebody who's not like a Fale, I think would be pretty great in something like that, because it is just all just, pounding on each other hot again. You don't really have to do too much in the sense of you can make it work and not have to be, worry about stars. You're just kind of brawling and shit. So I don't know. Those are the people I would pick.
All right, I've got a question here from our friends over at Keeping It Strong Star, who gave my humble question top billing last week, so let's return the favour here. They said, what's the likelihood New Japan or Bushiroad audibles due to the fan backlash and incorporate the lineage of the IWGP title to this new belt? Any smoke to the rumblings? MGMT knew this unification would be received poorly and chose Ibushi to... management knew this unification would be received poorly and chose Ibushi to take the heat. So that's from young boy Josh. And along similar lines, Classic Catch says, how does the backlash to the news about the Intercontinental and Heavyweight belts compared to the backlash that led to the fan poll for Wrestle Kingdom 8? Could this backlash lead them to them changing their minds? I may have read that last week. I don't know. My brain is just complete mush at the moment. But now you've had a week to digest it, Damon. Your thoughts about this title unification, lineage, and possibility of New Japan backtracking over this?
I don't think they backtrack because I think this is a booking thing. And here's how we're running the promotion thing, as opposed to the other things that they may have pulled back on in recent weeks. Now I think I don't look again. They've merged titles before. Companies have merged titles before, very important titles at the time. And I know everybody's kind of up in arms of, oh my God, the Intercontinental title is going to be merged in the history of the IWGP. I get it, but it's happened before. I don't like it. I kind of like what we got. I think, to me, there's not a title out there that has the strength of history behind it like these have. And if we're going to just push that aside, the biggest challenge I have with this whole scenario, Joel, the biggest challenge I have with this entire process is why. Like, to me, they merged those titles back then because there were promotions that were merging and money's being exchanged and all that fun stuff. Working relationships and shit. Like, if you were going to do that with, like, again, I'm going to throw out a fucking nonsense idea, but if you were going to do that with, like, the Ring of Honor world title and the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, okay, great. This is... I just don't see the end game in this. Like you're doing this for what reason? Because there's a storyline that we've won 2 belts? And now one person wants, like, the champion just wants to do it. Like, in the real world, like, wouldn't they be like, well, no, we're not doing it. You know what I mean? No.
Okay. Well, just hold that thought, Damon. How about this as a possibility from Chris? He says, could the merging of the belts and the backlash from it lead to a heel turn for Ibushi? Let's be honest, Ibushi isn't the greatest promo and he seems to struggle with all things champions should be doing outside the ring. A heel turn might do the trick. So what do you think of maybe the idea that this is a vehicle to turn Ibushi heel, for it being his wacky idea that led to this unpopular decision?
I mean, do you think that's heel worthy? Do you think people would hate a pro wrestler or at least boo a pro wrestler because they did that? Like, that seems like...
No, the heat's on the company, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
we all know that this has got nothing to do with Ibushi. He's just the lightning rod for it.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to put it... I mean, at the very least, they have a guy who has a history of doing harebrained things and wacky ideas. But again, the idea of the champion saying, okay, I'm going to merge these belts. What? Look, the whole idea stinks on ice. And truth be told, it has stunk the second the 3 count went down and Naito won those titles. Like, after the pop of the crowd and the jubilation that occurred, that title has gone considerably downhill. Has it not, Joel?
I'm kind of on the fence about the unification of the belts. I thought it was a really cool way to give Naito a first-time thing that he can hang his hat on. Like, he was the first ever double champion. But then...
he didn't care about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, nothing makes sense in this fucking thing. Like, I understand that they painted themselves into a corner. But know what it feels like? It feels like they did this idea and they had no way to get out of this idea. Like, there was no, like, the booking, like the page in the booking sheets, the famous notebook ran out of paper. And they just like were like, all right, we'll figure it out when we get there. And nobody figured it out. Like, nobody figured out how they were going to get out of this jam. But this is a pure 100% booking snafu, right? This is all booking. And here's the thing, they could change it, but they keep digging the fucking hole deeper. Like, okay, we opened the show with the dud of the exploding barbed wire death match. And the explosion that was just preposterously hilarious. But at least they had two guys get out there in a promo, and I don't know if you heard it or saw it, whatever, try to make sense out of it, right? Try to fucking put a spin on it to at least save this fucking thing. And they put the two best guys that they have that do promos, try to fucking connect the dot. We've got a double championship that now we're going to... Nobody wants this. I don't think they're going back. Is it to answer the question, Joel? I don't think like fan backlash is going to make them stop. I don't. But I could be wrong, but I don't. They had years to find a solution to this, and some of them were quite easy. And yet they plowed along. For a company that we praise about their booking, and for a company that we praise about how they specifically handle that championship title. I've sat here for 3-4 fucking years talking about this title and how prestigious it is and how they protect it and now it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just preposterous. Now I'm worked up over this. Now I really don't like it.
Okay, maybe we should change direction and let's talk about Wrestle Grand Slam. So we had announcements that they're going to run Yokohama Stadium May 15th and then Tokyo Dome on May 29th. So a few questions about this. We Work Stiff says, Chris Charlton keeps hinting at big things ahead on post-show comments. What could possibly be in store to allow New Japan to run 2 stadium shows within a fortnight, presumably off only a fortnight bill post on Taku? And Daffy Dunk says, since Wrestle Grand Slam got announced, do you think guys from AEW like Mox and people from Impact like Anderson and Gallows could show up at the Dome show? So what was your feeling about these 2 Dome shows that have been announced?
I was shocked. I was shocked because, one, no one told us.
I know. I was just going to say that.
That's number one. We legitimately did not know, so I guess they wanted to keep it even a secret from us. 2.
I suppose that's the sort of thing I couldn't have fudged, is it? Like, you know what, Damon? You know what I think would be good? 2 miscellaneous Dome shows in the middle of May.
Right. There was no, there was no hinting. There was no Suede concert there in Yokohama. That's for fucking sure. Speaking of preposterous, boy, we might want to put that under preposterous. 2 stadium shows. What in God's name are they going to put in those shows? Here's the thing: they have to bring in outside people. I feel like they have to, because what do they have in their back pocket that is going to be important enough for not 1, 2 baseball stadium shows?
Do you think they really that fussed about the attendance? Because some fans have been discussing and looking on this like that this is just trying to get as many shows as you can, as much content as you can to make up for lost revenue. and they don't care whether they sell it out or not.
I mean, I think they always care. Like whatever tickets they put on sale, they want them to be sold. No, I mean they still.
But they're not worried about the optics of, Quarterfield Stadium or whatever.
Maybe not as much as we do here in the West, but like they still have to pay for the show. It's not like they're walking in and saying, "Okay, we got a baseball stadium for free," right? I'm sure that there's rent on these buildings. And I would think that it's more expensive, just the production, the stage setup, the concessions, the rental, all of the above, right, is more expensive than running, I don't know, fucking Otta War Gymnasium. I just, the idea, and here's the thing too. What we're doing now in this is we're watering down the importance of Tokyo Dome shows and outdoor shows. I mean, these shows should be really the end of programs that can draw and have people excited and fired up, right? I mean, that's the idea of these big shows in the history of pro wrestling. Whether they're panned out or not, I mean, that's usually by the gate and fan interest and all that stuff. But the goal is that, right? I'm baffled by this one. Like the idea of them, the idea of the arrogance of New Japan to think that they have a show in their back pocket. To deliver
two shows,
right,
within a fortnight,
right. I mean, they have to be bringing in somebody, don't you think? Give me what you think could possibly, with the roster that they have, that's going to headline those shows.
I don't know. Maybe this is the time if the travel allows it. This is when you want to have your Forbidden Door spectacular. Who knows?
I mean...
Actually, having said that, no, I don't think so. Because one, is that a draw for domestic fans? I'm not sure it is. And two, if you're not able to get any Western fans over, then what's the point?
I don't know.
I've just talked myself out of it.
I would think that a Kenny return is more important in the United States than it is in Japan. Now, that being said, I think overall it's not like the hometown Japanese fan is going to hand wave the return of Kenny Omega. Like that would do well. And of course, here it would be berserko. Like people would be going nuts. Look, I know we're just speculating and we're just spitballing here, but two stadium shows, like they can't headline these fucking shows with, Ibushi evil, right?
Well, maybe this is just speaking to sort of, because of the restrictions on capacity and state of emergency, all that, the downgrading of certain shows and certain venues. So previously on Osaka-jo Hall with a spicy card and good build could get you, 11,000 fans in the building. Now Osaka-jo Hall is doing, 3,000? If that? So things like Dominion in Osaka-jo Hall or New Beginning in Osaka-jo Hall is not as valuable to New Japan as it once was because they're not getting in the kind of numbers that they want or they need. So maybe this is just their way of getting in that Dominion level crowd, but they've got to do it in a stadium because they can't get that number of people in Osaka-jo Hall.
Yeah, I mean, look, if they're looking for a number and they have to consider the fact that they're going to be limited with capacity, I mean, that is true. But once again, like I said, I mean, we're kind of watering down these big shows, aren't we? Back to back. Look, I appreciate the balls that they have. I just don't know what the fuck they're going to put on top. That would be that anyone would consider it stadium worthy. I just don't. I don't know. I don't, and you know what? And maybe I'm talking myself out of it now, Joel, but I don't think they fucking bring many people over at all. I don't know.
Real downer here, aren't we? Okay, let me throw another question at you from Boozep, from Nicole, who says, does the running of Wrestle Grand Slam, where Best of the Super Juniors would normally be an indicator Best of the Super Juniors is moving, or do you think these will somehow incorporate Best of the Super Junior shows? I would be leaning towards maybe Best of the Super Juniors being in the same place it was last year, although I'm not really certain at all.
I mean, I don't think they would put it. I could be dead wrong. It is logistically, why not put it there? But I think, but you're not headlining the Best of the Super Juniors at a stadium. I mean, that's going to be like third down, right? Like if you're running a stadium show, right? Third from the top. Joe, I wish I knew. I wish I had the fucking answer. But like, to me, I don't know. Like, again, you can't have Ibushi, Sonata, running any of these shows. I don't know. That's what's troublesome. Like when we go into Wrestle Kingdom season, we know, okay, our main events, we know the top three matches, pretty much, a long time away. And, you can get hyped for it and you can debate on but you still felt like you got a solid. I have no idea. I fucking have no idea what they're going to put on in these shows. Not a clue. And here's the thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but G1, they're at the Olympics, right? And the Olympics are happening in Japan. They're not bringing in fans like from other countries in, but the Olympics are happening. So G1 is moved. Like, you don't even have the draw of that. Like, you could do a G1 final. I don't know. I have no fucking clue what they're going to do.
Well, let's move on to talk about New Japan Strong then, an episode that I think was notable as much as for who wasn't on the show as for who was on the show. I'm talking, of course, about the news that a lot of people were expecting Marty Scurll to appear at the end of this episode, and he didn't. It seems that they've cut that from the recording, so there was supposed to be a post-match angle with Marty Scurll of Rocky Romero after Rocky's match with Lio Rush, and that did not appear on the feed. So I think we've got to say the right call to cut it out. Very disappointed that we got in this mess in the first place, that happened, that they were put into this situation that they thought was a good idea to book him in the first place, but right course of action to get rid of it.
Yeah. I mean, I know people are upset by that too, that it shouldn't have happened in the first place, but I want you to strongly consider this. This is pro wrestling, and this would have never happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Like, it would have happened. So the fact that many people's voices were heard and the company recognized it is a positive thing, right? Now, I went on a rant, kind of calling them out and saying at every turn, the company has not stepped up to the plate, has not done the right thing. And again, maybe it's sometimes a company or a person or whatever needs to be shaken a little bit to be like, oh, okay, I didn't know. Not that I didn't know, but you know what I mean? Like, they just need to be fucking rattled to be like, okay, oh, well, all right, we're not doing this. So again, while the one side is, and I could say it, is that it shouldn't have never have happened. Two, in the pro wrestling world, the fact that it did happen is pretty remarkable. And I have to give credit to New Japan for at least waking up from their stupor and and doing the right thing eventually.
Well, it was a pretty good episode of New Japan Strong, all things considered. The opening match saw the return of Alex Coughlin and Carl Fredericks, and they beat the team of Kevin Knight and Clark Connors. That was really, really good. I'd recommend people watch that because Coughlin and Fredericks have been away for a while, and they came in with the energy of a couple of guys who were worried their spots were going to get taken. So there was a lot of ferocity and intensity in this match that I really, really enjoyed. Some amazing feats of strength from Alex Coughlin. So I would strongly recommend people check that out, no pun intended. Then we had a couple of qualifying matches for the New Japan Cup USA with Tom Lawler defeating the DKC. And I really like Tom Lawler. I think he's a guy that New Japan should be doing all they can to sign and get him over to Japan as soon as they can, because he just brings something a bit different to the table with his mixed martial arts backgrounds. He wrestles in a different way, different rhythm and structure to his matches. Like, for example, this match started with him just kicking the DKC right in the face and sending him flying across the ring, and some really good submission work throughout the match, good transitions, good scrambles, which you don't see from too many wrestlers these days. So, big fan of Tom Lawler. I would love to see more of him. And then we had a really good main event with Leo Rush defeating Rocky Romero in another New Japan Cup USA qualifying match in 13 minutes 57. And it's about what you'd expect from two really talented, high-paced, high-flying individuals. Great arm work. There was a really creative spot in the match where Rocky was out of his depth and he could tell he was losing, and then Leo Rush went for a handspring, and then Rocky kicked Leo in the elbow as he was upside down, and his elbow buckled under him, and then he started working over his elbow. So I really, really enjoyed that. And Rocky Romero is a very versatile performer because he can do that underdog babyface stuff where the crowd behind him, like when he's wrestling against an El Phantasmo, but then he can also be the kind of, shitty, crafty veteran who's going to use some underhanded tricks to get his way past someone who he knows is better than him. So really good stuff. And again, Leo Rush continues to impress me. We've said it a million times, they've got to do what they can to get him over to Japan for best of the Super Juniors, at least, because he could breathe a lot of new life into the New Japan Junior division. Mark says, do you think there's any chance we see any AEW or Impact talent in this New Japan Cup USA on Strong? Impact, possibly. I don't know. I wouldn't rule out either, actually. I don't think you're going to get any, top tier main event level talent wrestling in the New Japan Cup USA and on Strong, but it wouldn't shock me to see names from either company popping up for that.
No, me neither. Me neither. You're the guy who tunes in every single week for Strong, and I will say that I do parachute in for stuff that's a little bit more newsworthy, maybe. But every time I do pop in, it's always good. Like I'm never disappointed with it. Would you say, being that you've watched more than I have and more than other people, I'm gonna throw out a thought here. Is Strong the best episodic pro wrestling show going right now?
For my taste, yes, because there's none of the shenanigans or melodramatic stuff that is not to my taste. I mean, it certainly is to others, but it is just pure wrestling. You know what you're going to get every week. You get 3 high-quality matches that don't overstay their welcome. The only thing it's lacking is a hot crowd, really. And I think if you put that stuff in front of a crowd, then it's going to get really good responses because it's getting better. Continuity is getting better. They're getting better at having something to make me think, oh, I've got to check out next week's episode. So, yeah, it's a really underrated show. And I'm not just saying that because it was hand-waveable several months ago. I couldn't, it was a bit of a chore to watch. But now they've got really high-level talent on there. I was watching that opening tag match with Fredericks and Coughlin and Connors and Kevin Knight and thinking, these are really, really good wrestlers. These are wrestlers that would do very well in other North American companies, and New Japan have got to make sure they make the most of them there. And added to that, the big names like your Tom Lawlers, Chris Dickinsons, Leo Rushes. There's really a lot to sink your teeth into. It's fresh, it's exciting. You're not seeing, mid-carders who have done done everything in New Japan, just going through the motions and spinning their wheels there, which you did get to a certain extent with previous tapings. Here you've got new names, you've got young up-and-comers, and you've got people from independents or other promotions who want to get their chance in New Japan. So people who actually give a fuck, who are trying really hard to impress people. And I enjoy it.
I mean, it sounds, and again, every week you're here and you do the review. And every week it's like, okay, this sounds like a show that is right up my alley. And it sounds like a show that's right up a lot of people's alleys. What's missing? Like, why is it New Japan just not able to promote it strong enough? Is it like why is it still continuing to fall under the radar?
I think it's the empty arena. I think people don't want to watch that anymore. Yeah. I think that is the big disconnect. I think, again, if you put that in front of even a small audience, but hot crowds making noise, then I think people will start tuning in regularly. People are starting to get in buildings. I'm covering hockey games now, Joel, and they're letting in like 3,000 people into this fucking building. And that number is only going to get higher and higher. I mean, they announced in Texas Rangers baseball. So stadium holds about 50,000. Full house. There will be no restrictions. And now, again, it is Texas, but full house. Other sports, letting people in. I don't know what they tape in California. I don't know what their restrictions are, but man, the minute they could make that happen, they got to be all over it. And even if they just gave away fucking tickets for free, and that's what they really should do, give those tickets away for free. Just get a hot crowd in there. Yeah, these shows sound really good, man. I tell you, I mean, and here's the thing too. And well, okay, I was about to say, like, it's on Friday night, and Friday nights I'm probably got my hands full. But and it's on the fucking network. I can watch it anytime. I can watch it fucking anytime. So, I'm gonna be a little bit more diligent in that, because it sounds like it's something that I need to watch. Here's what it is. It sounds like something that everyone needs to watch. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Yeah, we've got another couple of New Japan Cup qualifying matches next week with Hikuleo against Jordan Clearwater and Fred Rosser versus JR Kratos. So two big beefy boys. I'm looking forward to that one. I think that'll be good. So let's get on to talk about some of the Japanese-based wrestling. I know it seems like a lifetime ago, but we should talk about this anniversary event from Thursday, March the 4th in Budokan Hall. Let's talk about the main event, which was the IWGP Heavyweight and Intercontinental Double Championship match, where the champion Ibushi successfully defended against El Desperado in 20 minutes 36 via Kamigoye. I'm trying to remember what I can about this match. I liked it. I didn't at any point buy that Desperado was going to win, which compromised some of the dramatic integrity of the match. But I thought Desperado acquitted himself really well. I was not sure about him kicking out of the Kamigoye. As much as I like him, it seems like everyone's kicking out of the Kamigoye. I would have been perfectly fine with him just eating the regular knee pad one and getting pinned after that, but it made him look good, so I guess they want to make your junior champion look strong as well. And it was also interesting to look at it through the lens of the Suzuki-gun dynamics, where we saw Taichi ringside providing moral support for Despi, and then after the match sort of stroking his head and going, you did well, man. Good job. Compared to several years ago in the 2017 Best of the Super Juniors, when there was a really dysfunctional Despi versus Kanemaru match with Taichi and Taka in the corners, and everyone was bullying Despi. Taichi was giving him all sorts of grief, and Despi got really upset in that match. So it was good to see the development and growth in their bond and their relationship, because Suzuki-gun, that's the heartwarming, that's the fuzzies, the warm fuzzies, huggy faction now. So good match, Damon. What did you think of it? Yeah,
that's what I would say. Good match. I don't think it was great. And again, some of that might have to do with the fact that at no point was I on the edge of my chair on any of the near falls or anything like that. It's just, you kind of knew where this was going to lead. That being said, again, I thought it was a good match. I am under the same banner as you when it comes to making. Not everybody has to be Superman in these world title matches, right? It's okay for him to eat a finishing move and take the pin, right? It's perfectly fine. And again, you're talking to two guys one guy who's a massive El Desperado fan and another guy who is very much an El Desperado fan. So, we want the best for him because we're fans, but in the grand scheme of things, like I'm totally okay with that. I don't think that would have hurt him. Like, I don't think you needed to give him that extra layer of credibility. I think he's already built that. Unless they want bigger things for him. I don't know. But they've done that in the past too with those anniversary shows in the June. Just having, extra fighting spirit to be able to kick out of a finisher or kick out of something that spelled near death. I don't want to do you feel like the crowd did you feel like, I don't want to say it was a letdown, but do you feel like it was a situation where the crowd they knew too, and even though their general disposition is root for the underdog, do you kind of feel like it felt that way in the crowd too, and that hurt the match?
I can't remember. I mean, I feel that trying to gauge crowd reactions when they're only allowed to clap and draw conclusions from that it's
tough.
Clutching at straws, really. I don't know if I would be able to really say too much about that.
Will this match be in anyone's discussion for match of the year?
I can think of a couple of people. Our friend of the show, Jay Michael, is definitely. I think there's a good chance of that because he is a huge fan of both guys. I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked to see it in there just for the sort of significance of it and being the second Budokan Hall main event for El Desperado. But will it be in my top 10? Almost certainly not.
Probably not for me either. Okay. All right. Is that disappointing? Is that disappointing for you?
I wouldn't say the match left me disappointed. No.
Okay. All right.
No, I thought they were fine. It was a really good match. Very good. Very good. Not great. But I wasn't expecting a transcendental match because I never thought Desperado was going to win. So it was sort of handicapped from the start, really. So I do want to talk to you about the attendance for this show. So Andrew says, is New Japan getting outdrawn by Stardom during the Budokan doubleheader, something that will turn heads internally within Bushiroad? Ditto for Noah, doing over 1,000 more fans than them during the worst stage of the pandemic to boot. Will it do anything to stop the current trend of last-minute card announcements? So, yeah, your thoughts on the attendance, Damon? I mean, I should say that the Stardom, judging by photographs of the Stardom attendance compared to the New Japan one, may lead some people to question the veracity of the number that was released for that particular Stardom show. I'm not saying I believe that to be the case. I'm just saying that discourse is out there if you choose to peruse it. So, do you think any serious concerns about the attendance for this show, and may it cause New Japan to think we should start promoting stuff a bit further in advance now?
Well, it always helps, right? To me, the idea of not knowing what you're getting yourself into a handful of days, you're buying a ticket blindly. Now, I would say that New Japan has a very good track record and in delivering in those scenarios, but you are at a disadvantage. Now, the fact that, okay, if we do take those numbers as gospel, then it is eye-opening, that's for sure, right? It is something that might help support that theory of, going into a show and not really knowing what it's going to be a week ahead of time is troublesome. But they were kind of, what are they going to do? You know what I mean? They were left holding the fucking bag in this with the injury to Hiromu. So, how would they have been able to fix that? I guess is my question.
I guess if you want to go with the Dave Meltzerisms, I would file that under promotional malpractice rather than creatively bankrupt if we have to go to one of those extremes. All right, well, we're 50 minutes into the show. Let's talk about the New Japan Cup then. Louis says, my brackets broke on night 2. Hello, darling. Come here. Come and sit with Daddy. Thanks a lot, Goto. How are you guys doing with your brackets? Yeah, I did pick Taichi to go through. I'm sure there was another few that I got wrong as well. There are a few coin tosses, but yeah, my brackets are fucked. I've got
really?
There's no way I'm going to win. I think Chris Samsa, who is hosting our pick'ems, I think he's actually top at the moment. I don't know how it's going to shake up with today's upsets, but yeah, how are your pick'ems holding up?
I mean, again, keep in mind that I'm terrible and I never did submit them formally, but I did them on the show, so there's a public record of them, right? I think I'm doing well. I had Cobb. I had Okan in the first round. I had Fale. I think I lost there. Not think I know I did. I believe I went with you with Taichi, like a dope. And I had Shingo. And I
picked Juice as well, so I got that wrong.
I had Suzuki. And I had Kenta. And I had Will, and I had Zach, and I had Yuji Nagata, and I had Sonata. I think I picked Chase Owens. I had Yoshihashi, and I had Jay White. So maybe 2 or 3 that I've shit the bed on, but overall not that bad.
Excuse the noise. Big picture thoughts on this New Japan Cup, Damon. I'm really enjoying it because...
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to come and join the podcast?
Come on. Get her on here.
She's just walked into the room with a teaspoon and she's very excited about that.
I would be too.
Yeah, I was going to say, up until the show that we've just watched, I thought I was really enjoying the shows. I mean, I'm not watching the undercards. I'm just watching the cup matches. And they none of them have gone over 25 minutes, I think. They've all had, for the most part, pretty clean finishes. They've been well worked. This is exactly the sort of stuff I want to see from New Japan. So I think, by and large, they are really delivering a very good tournament so far, especially compared to last year's, which was a bit disappointing.
Yeah. I don't think there's a first round match that I completely hand waved. Like every match, to me, at least tried to give me something. And you know, you go into a show with Fale and Yano, right? Or even Finley and Chase to a certain degree, or Yujiro and Yoshihashi. You know, you could easily hit that fast forward button and not lose any sleep over it. I think that every match has been at least good. And dare I say, I think it's safe to say that there have been matches that have been great. If we're throwing flowers, I think Okada and Shingo was fucking great. So I don't know how anybody could be disappointed in this first round. I mean, winners and losers aside, like I think everybody's putting their best foot forward on this one. And again, matches aren't overstaying their welcome. They're quick. If you're not watching the undercard, and trust me, why would you? I don't think there's anything terrible. Now, again, is there shit that I'm like, I wish they wouldn't do that? Like this whole fucking Tenzin thing where they forget that he's not supposed to do the Mongolian chop. Yeah, okay, great. But the biggest sticking points that everyone has fucking had on this, in the past 2 years, the outside interference, the bullshit, the nonsense, the fucking, that's been kept to a minimum.
Until today's show. If you're not a fan of that, maybe you might want to give Thursday's show a miss.
Oh, no, really? Is that the evil Cobb match?
Yeah, shocking. I know that the evil main event did not have a crystal clear finish, but...
yeah. Well, all right, well, you don't give the finish.
I will take that, though. For one person in a bracket of 32 or 30 rather to be doing that, I'll allow that. And I didn't mind it as much today, given that I was delivered pretty much clean finishes for all the other shows I've seen. So it's about doing this stuff in moderation and not giving me an entire fucking card of it like they did at Castle Attack Night 1. But
Right.
yeah, it's been good stuff. So Bash says, last year we got no preview tag matches in the New Japan Cup. Do you think they should have stuck to the same format this year, even though they're fans in attendance now? No, you got to have the undercard tag for the live fans, but I'm not watching them, and you're not either, right?
No, I have not watched the one.
Right, well, let's give our... Yeah?
Unless something like, if I see something generally newsworthy occurred, I'll watch. But like, I'm not going out of my way to watch fucking Suzuki Goon against Gabriel Kidd, Homa, and Uremura. That's not happening.
Yeah, damn right. Those days are behind me, Damon. So let's give our quick thoughts on these first round matches then. So we had Cobb versus Kojima. Let me get the result of this one. So this was also at the anniversary show. So Jeff Cobb defeated Satoshi Kojima at 11 minutes 50 seconds with Tour of the Islands. I thought this one was really good. Jeff Cobb just continues to look like a beast. They're doing a better job at coming up with creative spots to highlight his power and his strength. For example, him catching Kojima in midair, that was really spectacular. And again, little touches from Cobb's side to put his opponents over. Like he was going all out to stop Kojima from removing his elbow pad, which is showing, he respects and fears the lariat because he got pinned by the lariat at Castle Attack. So just more and more I watch Jeff Cobb, he's reminding me of Gary Albright, the way he's really starting to be able to ragdoll pretty big boys. He was doing it against Evil tonight as well. And really good finish as well, where Kojima was powering up the lariat, the strongest arm, and just ran straight into Tour of the Islands. That was done really well. So yeah, good stuff. Cobb versus Kojima. I liked it.
I tell you what, Kojima owes the Empire a little something backstage, maybe a couple beers after a show, because they have helped him have a sneaky good year, as the kids like to say. Like, he's had a pretty decent fucking year so far, hasn't he? Like, we always talk about these guys can still go, throwing Yuji Nagata in that mix too.
No one was expecting a Wrestle Kingdom singles match with Kojima.
Right. But it's like this, like, he's had a sneaky good year. Cobb, the thing that stood out to me this week, and speaking of one of these nonsense multi-man tags, was it Master Wato? The way that he fucking just tossed him around and then finally threw him into the Tour of the Islands. There's a thing online. You watch it and you will watch it again and again because you're just amazed. And again, some cooperation from Master Wato, is needed to pull this off. But it was like flip up, down, flip around, turn around, boop, Tour of the Islands. It's really, really impressive. Go out of your way to try and find that. It's really good.
Yeah, he also did a lot of that in the Evil match tonight, which was quite impressive because Evil's a big lad and he was just doing like a belly to belly, release suplexes. Just there were some spots where he was lifting up Evil and Dick Togo at the same time. He just looked tremendous out there. I really hope they've got something planned for him because I think over the last 6 months or so, his ceiling has skyrocketed.
Yes,
if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I mean there is value in Jeff Cobb. There's absolutely, and if you look back. Not the last G1, but the one previous where everyone was kind of like, not a lot of praise being pushed his way. I feel like it's a night. Like, he feels motivated and he feels, getting the nod from the company helps, but he looks just like not a guy going through the motions. And like, he just feels energetic. Like, he feels that's a great Okan touch, I think. It's like that tag team helped spark him, and now look at him. Yeah, I hope they have things for him. I hope it's not just he's not just going to be a mid-card feeder to the stars.
We also had Great Okan defeating Tetsuya Naito in 20 minutes 20 seconds via referee stoppage. I thought this was great. I mean, I loved this so much. The chemistry between these two very strong characters was great. Like Okan just glaring daggers into Naito while Naito does his like slow motion undressing, and then Naito just taking the piss out of Okan throughout the match and mocking his pose. And just the way the match played out with Okan using his power and his strength to counter Naito's his moves, like his flying forearm, his tornado DDT, and just like dropping him straight on his face. And Okan is not, hugely jacked, ripped, muscular guy like other wrestlers on the roster. His physique, it kind of reminds me of these Mongolian sumo yokozuna, like Kakuryu and Hakuho, where they don't have like the shredded six pack, bulging muscles, all that, but they've got really surprising, unexpected strength, and that came through in this match for me. The way Okan was able to like stop some of Naito's high flying moves, like dead in midair, and just absolutely plant him into the mat. And
it's time for a reboot, not a do-over, but a do everything. A time to hike this, taste that, camp here, and road trip there. In a place that's wide open for new memories. South Dakota. Out here, adventure goes with the territory. Whether you're backpacking in Badlands National Park or diving into Lewis and Clark Lake. When you're ready, get back to nature and back to what you love. Get inspired at TravelSouthDakota.com.
Get away and explore the great outdoors with RV Share, the nation's largest RV rental website. RV Share offers thousands of RVs to choose from nationwide, including camper vans and luxury motorhomes. They'll even deliver to your destination. Plus, enjoy peace of mind with 24/7 roadside assistance and insurance on every rental. Bring your friends, family, or just yourself and tap into the freedom of the open road. Start planning your next adventure today. Head to RVShare.com/Denver. That's RVShare.com/Denver. RV Share. Go beyond.
He also did a really good job in this match mixing up the knee work with that to execute counters at really key moments in the match, like very, very high level stuff. It wasn't like filler work. I'm just going to work on his knee for 2 minutes while I catch my breath. It actually played into how the match twisted and turned and how the momentum changed. Like you can tell Okan is a real student of the game. He's a very intelligent man. And it had his moments of being explosive as well, like the flying lariat down the stretch. That was really exciting. And then Naito kicked out of that, and Okan just didn't miss a beat. He went straight into the knee bar. There was no pulling faces at the camera. Oh, no, he kicked out. It's just like, bang, straight into working the knee again. And just chaining the submissions together down the stretch and chopping Naito while he's in the submission, screaming in his face. It was incredible. I really love this. I thought Naito did a great job selling it as well. His selling was brilliant. He was like Naito licking his lips and desperately looking around for the nearest rope, trying to scramble over like his life depended on it. And then eventually the referee calling it off. A great way to end the match. And the post-match was just as good because Naito spent the entire match making fun of Okan, and then Okan just turned into this belligerent arsehole and gave it all back to Naito, taking the piss out of his, the eye gesture that he does. The young lions having to prise Okan's arms off of Naito. He's throwing the young lions out. He's stamping on Naito's knee and mocking him, stealing the ice packs, throwing them on the floor. It just, from start to finish, I know I talk about it a lot, and I get it. There's lots of people who are not into him, and it's just, I think it's one of those things now where it's divisive. If you don't like him, I don't know that he can show you anything else that's going to bring you round. It's just a sort of stylistic thing. If you don't like it, you don't like it. And I'm not going to tell you you're wrong or you're stupid for not getting it. It's just a question of personal preference. But personally, this guy has quickly become one of my very favourite wrestlers in the company. I thought this match was tremendous.
Yeah, I did too. And I think the biggest challenge that people have with him is that, like, I had a conversation with someone, and I mentioned the fact that I really do think he is tremendous. And they kind of looked at me like I was out of my mind, and I was like, okay, no, he's not Shibata. No, he's not fucking Okada. No, he's not fucking Ishii or Shingo. Like, he's not that guy. He's this, which is very much different from the guys that I mentioned stylistically and in-ring wise, but to appreciate what he does do and what he does really well for a guy that's very young in his career is pretty amazing. I still love that fucking entrance. I'm telling you, I think the fucking entrance is if it wiggled one way or the other, it could be silly and ridiculous. But it's not. It's cool. I really like it. I agree with everything you just said. He got a win over Naito, his biggest of his career. And you can't tell me that's not a significant win. And the way that he won. Right? And the post-match where he's just throwing fucking young lions through ropes and just being a badass and devastating and a fucking tornado that tore through town. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joel. He just lost to Toriano.
Yeah. That's the next thing I was going to talk about.
What the fuck is this? I don't understand. How do you go?
I can't believe it either.
Yeah, Esther's losing her mind. Like, how? Like, just from you just gave a guy the biggest win of his fucking career over a made guy. Over a made fucking guy. He didn't get a tap out over Gabriel Kidd. You did this to a made guy. Like, that's what's baffling to me. Like, what? How does that make any sense?
Well, I guess if you were in charge of booking, and let's say, for sake of argument, you are definitely having Evil going through to the semi-finals, then you got a decision to make about Okan. Do you have him have the fluke roll-up loss to Yano, or then do you have him lose to Evil in the next round? Which one of those is...
lose the Evil in the first round, and that's where you do the bullshit. Like, if you're going to give a fuck finish, that's where you do it. To have a guy who's just, on a roll, and he beat Naito, and he's chugging along, and he can dominate this match, and then he gets fucked over by Evil and Dick Togo. That's when you do it.
Agree.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Instead, you have was it a roll-up?
Yeah, some sort of fluky pinning combination.
That makes him look like a boob, right? Makes him look like a boob. Makes him look like a fucking idiot. Like, what planet are we on? What planet are we on? How can I... Does that seem simple to you, Joel?
Yeah, it wouldn't have been the way I booked it. And no. I know people say that a loss to Yano doesn't really hurt anyone, but it just cut off the momentum from that big Naito win at Budokan Hall. Just cut off right at the knees, and unnecessary. If that's going to be a problem for you, put Okan in a different set of the brackets where he can go through a few guys and not have to lose to fucking Toriano. That's so annoying, Damon.
And here's the thing, the idea of Toriano always getting he can get a surprise win, and Tanahashi's fallen victim to him. And, there's many guys that have just, gotten that fuck up. Okay. I hear people saying it. But that's not going to hurt Hiroshi Tanahashi in any way,
you don't do it to an up-and-coming young guy who's just got his second singles win of his career post-excursion.
I mean, again, he didn't just get past the first round by beating fucking Tenzin, somebody who's in this fucking tournament just to be a placeholder.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could argue that he got his rub, he got his signature win over Naito, so it didn't really matter whether he went out in the second round or the quarterfinals. But I mean, personally, I think it would have been more beneficial for him to go against Evil and run him close and make himself look like a badass before getting overwhelmed by the numbers. But maybe they didn't want to tell that story two matches in a row with Evil, because that was very much the story they told against Jeff Cobb. I thought Jeff Cobb, he did really well. He literally carried the match. So maybe they didn't want to do that and then do the same story again against Okan. I think it would have worked, because you could have Okan as trying to get revenge for his fallen Empire comrade and coming close. I think that would have been better than the Yano bullshit loss, but what do I know?
Right, if Evil's going to be the guy that's going to be the cheat to win guy, right, and he needs to cheat to win, why not establish it and go all in? I don't know, man. This is not a situation where it is, oh, my guy didn't fucking win, so now I hate it. That's not it at all. It just makes no sense. No, is anyone going to remember that Okan beat Naito by now losing to Yano?
I think so. I think that was a really memorable moment.
I hope so, man. I really hope so. Because here's what they've done. Here's what they've done. They've done everything in their power to make you not remember it. Let's put it that way. A roll-up win over come on.
All right, well, let's move on to Toriano defeating Bad Luck Fale in 5 minutes 50 seconds via countout. Best thing I can say about this match is that it was only 5 minutes long.
Yep, it was. It was. We talk about, hey, listen, it wasn't terrible, but it was just, 5 minutes of nonsense to me. And just, I'm more, what does this company see? Toriano, for all the ranting and raving we do, they give him wins. They put him in scenarios where he has a spotlight. They do like him. They do like him. That's for sure.
The main event on that show was Hiroki Goto defeating Taichi in 22 minutes 43 seconds by GTR. Damon, this is the match that I was imagining when I made all those cartwheel deathmatch predictions 3 years ago. I think this was the best iteration of any potential Taichi versus Goto match. I thought this was really, really good. There was no bullshit. Taichi looked really angry and pissed off and was just choking Goto constantly. There was even a great moment where Goto was setting him up for the GTR and Taichi put his hand up and grabbed Goto around the throat and managed to choke his way out of that. And just the back and forth, they were hitting each other so hard and dropping each other on their heads. This was really, really great stuff, Damon.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Stylistically, I'm kind of more excited for Shingo and Goto, right? Knowing that if Shingo were to go on, if I were to have the choice, I think Goto and Shingo is more maybe stylistically a match that I could get. But here's the thing: Taichi he could fucking go. I mean, either one. It just seems weird. Goto just fucking sits in the shadows all year, and you forget about him. And you probably shouldn't, especially in situations like this. And I think Goto's there to put over Shingo. I mean, I don't think he gets a win, but I don't know. Goto to me is dry as toast, and it's hard for me to get excited over Goto. I mean, again, assuming that it's a Shingo match, I'll take it, and I think it'll be very good. He's just one of those guys where I'm kind of it's hard for me to get excited over Goto.
We had Minoru Suzuki defeating Tomaki Homa in 40 minutes 54 seconds with the Gotch-style power driver. And Honma is a guy that we give a lot of shit because often he looks like absolute crap in tag matches and multi-man matches. Yet, weirdly, when he gets these singles matches, he always seems to put on a good show, doesn't he?
He did this time, that's for fucking sure. This match was better than it had any rights being. I mean, you got a 50-plus-year-old Suzuki, and Honma's probably not that far off, to be honest. And we all know Honma's medical history. This was good. I really liked this match. Again, with Honma playing the underdog, playing the guy who's not going to back down from Suzuki. And Suzuki, I don't care what anybody says, I'll put his chops against anybody's. The way that the sound that he creates with those chops and those forearm strikes, the pop that you hear is unbelievable. And then there were shots, open hand shots to the face that echoed throughout the building as well. I don't. This is a guy that's not taking any of those shots, so please take this with a grain of salt. But like, the fact that they were smart enough to say, okay, we're not going to do anything too high risk here with Homa. We're not going to get crazy here. We're going to hit people very hard in hopefully safe spots. And they fucking delivered there. They were smart about it. They teased dangerous spots. That's for sure. And the pace of the match, I thought, was faster than I thought was even humanly possible. I loved it. I thought this match was really fucking good, well laid out, well planned. They made Homa, they gave him moments where it looked like he could pull off the upset. Kakeshi's aside, and it delivered. This was one of those matches that was going into it. I didn't expect a lot. They over-delivered by a mile, and I don't know how they did it. No, I do know how they did. They did it smartly. No, I love that a lot.
I've just seen the Road to Wrestle Grand Slam tours. May the 8th, Korakuen Hall. May the 10th, Korakuen Hall. May 11th, Korakuen Hall. May 24th, Korakuen Hall. May 25th, Korakuen Hall. May 26th, Korakuen Hall. There's a theme here emerging. Right, I don't want to get bogged down in that. I just thought it was funny that I'd share with you. Next match, let's talk about Kenta defeating Juice Robinson in 17 minutes, 17 seconds with the game over. And Damon, I know you just want to talk about that Snowboy tweet, don't you?
Holy fucking shit. All right, I'm gonna call out person, Snowboy with the multiple eyes, right? With that fucking monster avatar that we talked about from that show.
Chunky.
Yeah. Maybe. And it's funny because earlier I had sent a text message to the great Andrew Rich, who I find to be one of the funniest guys I know. He had a tweet with was it Muda doing a handspring elbow that did not quite deliver effectively, and in the middle he put in like a knee exploding, and that was pretty funny. I was like, this is maybe your greatest work. I texted him. Unfortunately, the crown is and the title reign for Andrew Rich is short-lived. Very short title reign for tweet of the year. Because this Snowboy, holy fucking shit. Every time I look at it and every time I read this tweet, I don't giggle. I cry laughing. It is the funniest fucking tweet I've ever seen in my life. Now, it may not land for everybody, and that's okay. But it is just a fucking unbelievable, creative. Like, how do people's minds get these references just so quick and be able to piece it together in a tweet to be like, oh my God, that's it. And what I'm talking about is his tweet about Juice Robinson, and his hair is all discombobulated, like over and above what is normally discombobulated. And it's kind of flattened out, like the big tuft of hair that he has is kind of flat and parallel with the ground. And then it's these big tufts of hair. And he has this kind of like puckered face. And do you have the tweet in front of you, Joel? I don't know if you do. You don't. Do you have it?
Yeah, I can get it.
So for those people, what he's going to do is he's referencing.
Should I read it?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Juice Robinson looks like he just hugged what he thought was a sexy lady, but was actually just several sticks of dynamite tied together in a dress and a wig that then exploded.
Like you would see them in the fucking Looney Tune, the Wile E. Coyote, and it's just exactly what it is. And I swear to you, it is every time I fucking read it and see that picture, I fucking die laughing. Holy shit. What a great, oh my God. I'm going to take that tweet and frame it and put it in my fucking bar just so every day I can read it and laugh. Just a great tweet. Great tweet.
I was just looking at the replies, and there's another that's made me burst out laughing. This is a really obscure reference, but if you know, you know. This is drawing board real _ masters. He says, Juice looks like Dr. Dulcim. Just let him out while the Shadowloo guard wasn't paying attention. So if anyone's watched the Street Fighter movie, they'll get that reference. But yeah. Okay, so Bash says, does Juice's new gear remind you of a Jack in the Box? My first thought that came to mind was Juice in the Box, not a euphemism, or a court jester, or one of those Joker playing cards you see in a pack of cards. Yeah, it's definitely an extremely Juice Robinson look. But I thought this match was really good. Juice was angry. Angry Juice is my favourite Juice. Really stiff strikes. They were laying into each other. Love Kenta's shotes or his slaps or whatever you want to call them. Finley yelling at ringside had a bit of drama to it as well. Some transitions a little bit sloppy down the stretch, but it didn't affect my enjoyment of the match. I thought this one was a lot better than their G1 match.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was really good. Look, I'll touch on Juice's look for a second. It's annoying. It's annoying to no end. I don't like it. And here's the thing: he's a guy, like he's an attractive guy, right? I think people would agree. I would put it under the category of attractive. But he's the guy that intentionally tries to make himself look goofy and wacky and maybe even ugly himself up just because he's so attractive and he knows he can do it. That's annoying to me. Like, I hate those people. Those people who have like a shitty mustache. You know what I mean? You're just like, ugh, okay, we get it. You're so handsome that you can have a shitty mustache and pull it off. Great. You're so handsome that you can have the worst fucking hair on God's green earth and still be attractive. We get it. Fine. Why does that? I don't know why that makes me very angry, but it does. It makes me very angry because I feel shortchanged. Match was good. Match was very good. Maybe the best singles match we've seen from Juice in quite a while, don't you think?
That's what I said. I think the best one I can remember since maybe even the John Moxley match, one at the Best of Super Juniors final.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to go back a little bit. We'd have to go back. I mean, it's not like he's spent a lot of time doing single stuff. He spent a lot of time with Finley doing tags, and then he's out of the country, and then but it's been a bit. It's been a while. Yeah, I would put it up there, in recent memory as one of his better ones. Sure, absolutely.
All right, serious business now. It's Shingo Takagi defeating Kazuchika Okada 23 minutes 58 with Last of the Dragons. You're applauding. I'm applauding. This is everything I want from your basic New Japan main event. Didn't go ridiculously long. We had the kind of wrestler who will push and drive Okada into having a great main event and not allow him to sleepwalk his way through matches as I thought the Evil match was in long stretches during Castle Attack Night 1. We got cocky Shingo, he's doing the Rainmaker pose, getting in Okada's face. He's, playing up to the crowd, enjoying their applause. He's the only person, God bless him, Shingo Takagi, that actually sells the money clip well and makes it look effective when he's doing that sort of puffed out cheat, one eye closed, he's sort of eyeballing the ref, don't you dare call this one off, and he's, doing his absolute best to hold on. His selling is just so good, Shingo Takagi. The reversals and counters, all of them were just pitch perfect. Incredible stuff.
Yeah. And what's funny is that right around this time, like maybe it might have been even that day, you saw Big Dave tweeting out and talking about how Okada's struggling with some back issues, and I think everybody kind of knew that's the case. And even on commentating, I don't know if you listen to the English side, but Kevin Kelly was kind of like, well, yeah, I mean, it's not something that he's going to have surgery for it, or, you're not going to. He's just got to work through it and blah, blah, blah. But it felt to me like Okada was a guy that, like, even from the moment the bell rang, that he knew he was like, okay, I'm gonna have to put on a fucking really great match. I got people yapping about my back and how it's hurting their enjoyment of my. Okay, now I got to show you. You know what I mean? And he delivered. He delivered big time. And if he is hurt, which he probably is, everybody's hurt. But I mean, okay, if he's hurt, he's going to work through it, and he's going to be able to deliver in spots. Do I expect him to deliver these type of matches, Cork and Hall, on all those dates that you mentioned? Of course not. That is not going to happen. In fact, dare I say, I would prefer him not working any one of those shows. There's no reason for him to be there. Zero. None. Stay home. Get work on your back. Go see the trainer. Get a massage. Get a fucking hand job. I don't know what you got to get. Relax muscles any way that you need to. I don't want to see him on the shows. There's no reason. And let's save him. Let's save him for bigger shows. What do you think of that?
I completely agree with you. A bit strange to see him continuing to work this tour with well, not strange. I mean, it's to be expected, really. But I would have liked to have seen him now that he's been eliminated. Just, go home, take it easy, go do some fishing. We've got some questions about this. Owen says, are you concerned about what kind of condition Okada is going to be in 10 years from now? Looking back at guys like Misawa and Kobashi, who were broken down by their mid-30s, New Japan should consider if they want to run Tanahashi's successor into the ground like this. And Dr. Gary says, do you think the reported back issues for Okada changed the plans for the Cup? After his promo, after the Evil match, it sounded like he may be in for a good run.
Joel, I've said it 1,000 times on this show. To go watch New Japan World's documentary on Okada right before the Dallas G1. It is an eye-opening documentary on the struggles of that man who technically should be in the prime of his life. He can't even get out of bed. He can't even walk, let alone get out of bed. And that was 2 years ago? I mean, come on. Yeah. He is hurting. Physically hurting. He talks about it in the documentary. He can't sleep. He can't sleep. There's only so much the body can handle, man. And all of those guys are the same way. Tanahashi's not the same way. And here's the thing, Tanahashi's got more years on Okada. Yeah, it is a concern, but that is a concern and a risk and a, dare I say, an exchange and a deal that every one of those guys know getting into that profession. Right? It's a thing that is understood that there is a price to pay working this style for X amount of years. So as much as we love these matches and as much as these matches made us fans, know that physically these guys are putting it on the line to pay up later in their lives. That is a fact. Now, there are guys that have managed to find a way to beat the hands of time. And there are guys that went all in and crashed. But that's the price of a 30-minute, 35-minute, what was it? I don't even forget the number, 14, 15, 18 title defense run of great matches against a myriad of opponents, all of which you're paying a toll physically. So to answer the question, is it concerning? Absolutely it is.
Let's take a moment to throw some flowers at Shingo Takagi. Chuck says, since Shingo has put out consistently good matches, how far does he go in the Cup? Is this the year of the Dragon? Do you still think Osprey wins New Japan Cup or G1?
I think Shingo makes the finals. I do.
Me too. I think he's got a good shot of winning. I think if we do get the Shingo Osprey final, that's a coin flip to me.
Yeah, I agree. And let's keep in mind here, that's a big, that's a big win over Okada. I mean, let's think about what Shingo was doing 2 years ago. You know what I mean? That is a very significant win in G1. Now, who do we got? Goto next? If fucking Hiroki Goto beats Shingo, I'm going to jump off a fucking bridge is what's going to happen. Because between that and Okan, I don't know if I'll be able to handle myself at that point. Like if Shingo loses to Hiroki Goto, we got problems here, don't we? Correct, right? Am I wrong?
When we next record, we're going to have like a Yano versus Goto semi-final.
Right? I mean, they're not going to have two of their biggest stars in the past 10 years do two jobs to guys that they're trying to make stars and then have them get beat in the second round by Hiroki Goto, Toriano. By the way, we're 50% there.
Seriously, though, I mean, I think if there is ever going to be a time to pull the trigger on Shingo, this is it. I think.
Yeah. Let's build some momentum. Let's get him a win over that. I mean, seriously, to win the cup, he would have to beat Okada, which he did. Goto. If we're speculating, Osprey. I mean, that would be it, right? One more. What do you have?
Evil? Would we have to presumably go through Evil in the semis?
Yeah. So yeah, correct. Or I mean, let's just say Well, no, he would have to beat. So he beat Okada. He would have to beat Goto, and then he would have to beat the winner of Suzuki Kenta, and then beat Evil.
Yes, you're right.
And then beat Evil. So that's a bracket to get through, right? You're beating some big names. Yeah, let's make a fucking star. You know what I mean? Let's make a fucking star. Know what I'm afraid of? I'm afraid that we're going to see him beat Goto. I'm afraid that we're going to see him beat, Kenta or Suzuki. And then he's got Evil. And that's where you see the fuck finish. How gutted would you be?
Christ. don't do this to me. He's already broken my heart once today by knocking out Jeff Cobb. No more. That's enough. All right, next match then is Gabriel Kidd and Zack Sabre Jr. So Zack won in 17 minutes, 21 seconds via triangle choke and, flipping the birds while he's doing it. I think it was something Nate Diaz or Nick Diaz who did that. It was one of the Diaz brothers, I think. So this one was really good, Damon. This is like a kind of a throwback match with a lot of grappling, and I was surprised that Gabe Kidd lasted so long. 17 minutes for a young lion against an established guy like Zack is nothing to turn your nose up at.
No, and again, a really good match. I was excited for this one. This was one match that I had circled, I had penciled, right? Again, Zack is so creative with a lot of his spots that. And there's so many of them that it's hard for me to even remember. But I just remember watching this match and being like, why doesn't every wrestler do that? Right? It just makes so much. Oh, somebody sent out, it was a gif of the Boston Crab. So Gabriel Kidd has Zack in a Boston Crab. And Zack, Zack's on his back, legs are in the air. Sounds pretty hot. Pre-flip over for the Boston Crab. And Zack grabs his own leg, both hands, and tugs to remove it from being held. I was just like, that's the simplest fucking thing in the world. Why doesn't everybody do that? Yet he did it. And he did it like it was like, yeah, of course I'm going to fucking do that. Great job. Love that. Like that one. And I'm glad that I don't even know who did it, but pointed that out. Because I sitting on the couch, I was like, that's great. Perfect. Yeah, this match was really good, and it was better than good, I thought. Is this a 4-star match, dude?
Yeah, I would give it that. I thought it was tremendous.
I'm really close to
good
that.
Chemistry. I like the way Gabe was almost he sort of muscled up a bit, so he was sort of trying to physically overpower Zack, and it was Zack's technique that was getting turning the match in his favor. So yeah, it was really, really compelling, I thought.
Yeah, I was into this match from the jump. Again, I didn't think that there was any chance that we were going to see Zack not win, but Gabe Kidd is fucking good. Gabe Kidd is fucking good. Yeah, I dug this match a lot. I really enjoyed it.
We have Will Osprey defeating Hiroshi Tenzin in 13 minutes 37 seconds with a Stormbreaker. And again, Tenzin is one of these guys who I would put in the same category as Honma, who, you know, you might hand wave in a multi-man, but when he gets the tap on the shoulder, you know, inexplicably, he can still go and he can still put on a really exciting and compelling, you know, emotionally engaging main event. Because I think at this point, everyone's cheering for Tenzin. Everyone wants to see him win and get one over cocky Osprey, even though you know deep down it's not going to happen. But again, I thought this one was really, really good.
I thought it was good too, and honestly, I think Osprey was pretty great in this one too. I know we like to turn the screws to Will, but he's helping make these Tenzin matches more than watchable. Let's put it that way. Again, I don't know why we're doing Mongolian chops, dude, and it's like it never even
that
happened.
Sucks. That really pisses me off because it's just going to condition us as fans to hand wave these stipulations. The next time there's a stipulation like, you know, the loser of this match got to do X, Y, Z, I'm going to think, really? I'm not buying it. Not after, you know, you get your fingers burnt, don't you?
And here's the thing, you do, and it's like if they could explain it away, all right, maybe I'll fucking swallow the bitter pill, but like there's no explanation of it. It's just like he's doing it and he's not getting this. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's no explanation of it. Like it's that. Like, I mean, maybe there's a payoff later down the road. I don't know, but like, don't you think New Japan is not really known for these kind of issues? But this is not good. This is not good. Not good. I don't know. I know I'm complaining about a Mongolian chop, but it's more of the idea that, okay, you spent a lot of time building up the idea that loser can't do this, and now it's losers doing it, and we're not even acknowledging that why he's allowed to do it. It's like it never fucking happened.
Yeah,
and to me, that
is creatively bankrupt.
Right. I agree. That's the biggest problem that I have with it. I don't know. I don't know what I don't know what the fuck's going on there, but there's a lot of things that have me scratching my head when it comes to booking of this company. And again, you could hand wave a lot of stuff previously because you still had the heavyweight title. That wasn't an issue, but now they're fucking with that big time. The thing that gives it its allure, they're fucking with that. Now everything's on the table for me. I will pick at every fucking turn the booking of this company.
We had Yuji Nagato defeating Yota Tsuji in 30 minutes 42 seconds with a backdrop hold. I like this one, but I thought, if anything, Tsuji was maybe a bit too ambitious in the number of sort of spectacular and complex Jave, Lucha Libre style moves he was going for. Because he's a big lad and he's a sort of wrestler I want to see just laying into people and chopping them and suplexing them. But he was trying to do some quite intricate stuff that looked a bit clunky in the execution.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe that's just a thing where he's just trying it out, right? He's just trying some new things. And he's in the ring with the guy that he trusts to be able to try those things. I mean, if that's what he wants to kind of shake the rust off, that's what I took it as. Like, as a guy who is going to try some new things as opposed to just, Boston Crab, leg lock, arm bar, safe but solid Young Alliance stuff, and I agree, it didn't really land with me, but that's what I took it as. I took it as a guy who's just trying to experiment with new stuff in the ring with a guy that he trusts.
We had a main event of Sanada defeating Tomohiro Ishii in 25 minutes 18 seconds with a rounding body press. Jeremiah says Ishii is the greatest ? That's the question. Jay Cafe says, who wins the staring contest between Sanada and Ishii? This was a match that I really, really enjoyed, and I suspected I would, because I think sort of stylistically Ishii is the kind of person with the pace and the intensity that would push Sanada to have a more interesting style of match. I think you maybe could have shaved 5 minutes off this one, but I think this is the most emotion and passion and fire we're ever going to get from Sanada. He was really trying here. He wasn't executing it brilliantly because the standard spots of doing the fighting spirit kicking out at one or no selling a suplex and just getting back up. That's got to be accompanied by a little scream and for it to work. And Sanada just wasn't doing that. He just, gets suplex and then gets straight back up. So I could see what he was going for, even if it wasn't executed with the requisite level of emotion. But, this is Sanada. I've given up expecting him to do things that I don't think he's capable of doing. But that said, I thought this is one of his best matches in recent memory. I think the match prior to this, which I guess we'll put on that level, was that when he beat Okada in the G1 a couple of years ago. So I thought he really tried hard here, even though it wasn't 100% successful with what he was trying to go for. But the execution was really good. There weren't any big botches in the match, and I just thought that the two played off each other really well. I thought Ishii sort of pushed Sanada to show a level of fire that we don't usually get from him.
That's the thing. You nailed it. Like, Ishii pushed the pace on that one, and Sanada was the guy who had to keep pace in this match because Ishii was dictating it, which is a good thing, which is exactly what we wanted. Because if it were flipped, we would have an absolute snooze-orama. Yeah, look, as much as I'd love to fucking hand-wave Sanada, this was a good match. But let's give credit where credit is due. Ishii helped drive that pace, and if he didn't, we'd be talking a different tune.
I was thinking, like, if I was a professional wrestler and I was wrestling Sanada, what would I do to try and get the best out of him? And I think it would be very similar to what Ishii did, where he's just slapping him in the face and kicking him and be like, come on, like, sort of borderline shooting on him. You hit him like, come on, you fucker, come on, show me something. You've got everything. You've got all the tools. You've got the companies behind you. You've got the look. You've got the body. Just fucking show me something. Put those pieces together and show me that you give a shit. So. Credit to Ishii for doing that. I think sometimes that kind of chemistry doesn't work against certain wrestlers, or it just gets too much. Like if he doing it against a Shingo or a Goto, sometimes that sort of stuff can get a bit played out. Can be quite exhausting. But I thought it really worked here against the more languid style of Sanada. Let's talk then about David Finley defeating Chase Owens in 11 minutes 20 seconds via roll-up. This was good. I liked it. It was fine. The notable thing was Finley's post-match promo. I don't know if you saw it, where he says he's entitled to a shot at the Texas Heavyweight Championship, but that would have to be defended in Texas, and he doesn't want to go to Texas because they've got rid of their compulsory mask-wearing legislation. So that was my favourite part of the match. The match was good. I liked it. It was fine.
It was fine. The problem is that it was hard to me to fucking get too amped up over it. It was okay. It was fine. I mean, I wish I had more to tell you, but it was fine.
All right, we have Hashi defeating Yujiro Takahashi in 15 minutes 50 seconds via Karma. Damon, a lot of people might say to the contrary, but this was absolutely 100% a match that happened in the New Japan Cup first round. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. That's all I've got to say about this match. It happened.
Right? You're not into fired up Hashi getting a big win over.
It was there. They got into the ring and they wrestled a professional wrestling match. Hashi won in 50 minutes. He pinned Yujiro Takahashi and it finished. And Hashi went through to the next round. And I will die on that hill. No one can argue against that.
15 minutes, by the way. Yeah. I mean, we couldn't make this an 8-er. I know. I agree. I'm with you. Go ahead. Listen, to me, the highlight of the past, that 10th, was that on the 10th? That 10th show is this match coming up, is Henare and Jay White.
All right, talk to me about Henare and Jay White then. So Jay White winning in 24 minutes, 46 seconds by Blade Runner.
I'm going to give you one thought on Henare. I didn't think Henare was going to win. But there were moments in this match where you think, okay, he's going to pull it off. And that's all that I asked, right? That's all that I asked, is to just give me tastes of that. I loved... I'm disappointed that the company, and again, injuries happened. But injuries happen to lots of people in this company. Logistics of him living in New Zealand and getting back and forth. I get it. I wish they would show a little commitment to the guy. Because I feel like of anybody on this roster, Hinare is one guy that I just feel like is overlooked constantly. Constantly. Like the biggest fear that I had months ago was when we would talk about Hinare and we would say, he's at a point where he's got to do it right now. And if he doesn't, then he's got young lions that are breathing down his neck, that are out on excursion, that are going to lap him. That's happened already. I don't know what benefit it is for Hinare to be in New Japan Pro Wrestling anymore. Because I don't think the company feels like they have a valuable commodity in Hinare. And I would disagree. And I feel like he would be better suited in another company where he would be appreciated more. Now, I'm not saying Hinare is the next fucking coming of Hiroshi Tanahashi. And I'm not even saying that he deserved to get a win here, right? But I just posed the question of what is next for Hinare, because I don't see anything in the future that would indicate to me that he's a guy that the company feels solid on. And I think it's time for him to move on.
Maybe he should go to Strong, Damon. I mean, I do agree with you. And Hinare did cut a promo, a really passionate promo that I would recommend people check out. Basically saying everything that you said. He's made huge sacrifices to stay with the company, as Esther is trying to grab the microphone and yank it off the table. But yeah, he's made huge sacrifices to stay with New Japan and missed out on a lot of big things in his personal life to be there at the dojo, but he's getting nothing, and he's just on his knees saying, what do I have to do to get to that next level? He is better than a lot of people in that company who get pushed. So yeah, we're not going to see him again till World Tag League probably in a meaningful competition. That's it. That's his annual singles match in the New Japan Cup. And guess what? It's the same as it was last time with him losing. So I'm scratching my head at this moment. And yeah, I think your concerns are well founded at this point. I mean, as far as the match itself goes, Jeremiah says, is there a bigger breadth of enjoyment than that between interference-laden Jay White matches and interference-free Jay White matches? George says, Hinare White felt like the first time White was clearly the ring general of the match, and he did a terrific job. Watching White develop throughout the years has been a masterclass on how to build a star. I mean, this is kind of talking about Hinare like he's, some green wrestler who's straight out of the dojo. He's not. He's been wrestling quite a long time now. I mean, 2016 was it when he was a young lion? So this is not. I know he's had his injuries and unfortunate events that meant he's been out of New Japan when ideally would have been there. But he's a fairly experienced wrestler at this point, and at some point you just got to think. You've got to stop waiting around thinking, oh well, this is going to be the year where they pull the trigger on him. Oh, it's going to happen this year, because it's not happening in 2021. Let's put it that way. I don't think so anyway.
Nope. And again, I'm just going to throw out a name, and I'm not saying it to spite another person by any stretch, but I'm just trying to get a comparison, right? David Finley. Do you think David Finley is higher in the pecking order than Hinare?
Yeah, absolutely. Finley's a guy who's won the World Tag League. He's had Wrestle Kingdom tag title matches. Yeah, David Finley's definitely above him.
Right, had a cup of coffee with the World Tag Team Championship. And it's he's had injuries too. It's not like we could sit there and blame the injury for Hinare. And I don't necessarily feel in my eye test that Hinare is any worse than David Finley. And again, You can't push everybody. I understand that. Trust me, I do. But he's a guy that has, every time you think he's going to get an opportunity, every time you think that there's a chance and they might be putting him on the fire a little bit. And again, I'm not saying he's going to fucking challenge for the world title here. But again, put him in a program that is at least meaningful, but have him something to do, give him something to fucking show up for. They don't even do that.
Now, let me ask you this, Damon. Give me percentage chance that Hinari's in the G1 this year.
0. He hasn't been in. It's a running gag that he's not in it. You know what I mean? Like 0. I mean, let's put it this way: who do you take out of G1 and put Hinare in?
Yeah, I can't see it happening either, barring some misfortune hitting. At least 5 wrestlers in the main roster would have to be struck down with injury before he got a look in.
Yeah, that's a shame to me. Because there were times, like, again, you need guys to go over. Like, seriously. Last year, Yujiro was the guy looking at the lights more often than not. And there were a couple other guys that had losing records as well. You can't put Hinare in that spot? I don't know. Just, look, I'm not sitting here banging the drum for Hinare because... he wrote me a check. I'm banging on the drum because I just, we don't even know. He's never even been given the opportunity to do well. And we got guys that have been given opportunities that haven't done it, smashingly. He's never even been given the opportunity to do well.
And he tries so hard, doesn't he? You can see there's some people on the roster who clearly take their spot for granted. They know they're always going to be there. But Hinari's just busting his ass to do his absolute best night in, night out, and there's nothing to show for it.
You mean to tell me we can't give him a main event on any one of these shows at Korakuen and just fucking give him a win over somebody? Like, you're willing to give Toriano a fucking roll-up on Great Okan, and you're not willing to give fucking Hinare a pinfall over, I don't know, fucking somebody? Chase Owens? Yeah, right. You know what I mean? Like, we can't do that. Come on.
I mean, that's the Jay White. I mean, Jay White's great. He's always great, and I just enjoy the little things from him. Like, after he beat Hinare, he was just being an absolute dick. He was telling Gabe to take away Hinare's ice pack and come and bring it to him, and he said, if you don't, I'm going to go after all 3 of you young lions. I'll catch one of you and it'll be your fault. It's just what an absolute prick. It's just so fun to watch. I'm never going to get bored of that. I know we're looking for some sort of progression from Jay White, but if he does continue to be a heel, then I will still find it entertaining. But that was it. That was the first round of the New Japan Cup. Maybe do a few questions before we get out of here. I was going to preview the second round, but I think our picks still stand from when we did our pick'ems last week, so we expect the same people to go through. I haven't changed my mind about any of those. Wrestling with My Girl says, what's New Japan / Gedo's goal with all the ref abuse? It's mostly heels, but sometimes faces. Seems opposite, and there's no logical payoff to any of it. Does New Japan treat main events mostly too similarly, near 30 minutes or over, strike exchange, near falls, etc.? House shows don't need epic. So what are your thoughts on these tropes that are starting to become more and more regular? Have they always been there, or are they just starting to look more apparent because there's so much content?
I think it's always been there. For the past couple of years, it's been that way for sure. And by past couple of years, I mean 5, 6, 7 years. And again, I think the ref bump thing and the ref abuse things seem a little bit more frequent, that's for sure. But we've been talking about it for weeks and months. Main events don't need to be 35 minutes. They don't need to be epics. There's nothing wrong with a champion beating a challenger in 15 minutes and saying, I'm the better guy. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. Occasionally. There's nothing wrong with heels not having to resort to ref bumps every fucking match. faces abusing refs. I mean, it happens. But yeah, all those things are common threads that have made their way in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and they've kind of always been there. Don't get me wrong; they've always been there, but sometimes they raise to the surface a little bit more than others, and we're in a spot in the history of the company where it's noticeable.
Elliot says, Okada's face when he's at 3% energy, on his back, almost defeated, dazed and staring straight ahead with a faraway look in his eye. I think that's my favourite facial selling in pro wrestling. Do any other wrestlers come to mind in this regard?
That is good. He is good. I mean, we just talked about Shingo. He's about the only guy.
I was going to say, my
like
Shingo nearly tapping out face is one of my favourites.
I like... my least favorite thing in pro wrestling has become hit my big move, kick out, and the shocked look on the face. Like I'm beginning to really hate that. Like it's just okay. I think the guy with the best facial expressions in pro wrestling is Zach. Like I feel like Zach has that shit down perfectly. Of even when he's in trouble, like the look on his face and he's looking around looking for a fucking opening. When he's in control, the cocky dickhead. Even when he's not in control, the calm look on his face of, again, just looking for openings. His selling, I think, is tremendous. I think Zach's the best when it comes to facial expressions.
Jamie says, is Despy the future of New Japan's junior heavyweights? I don't think he's the future. I think he's the present. And that is a compliment. I think he is the guy he's been given the ball and he's going to run with it this year. Future, I don't know. Who's to say? Because he's not the youngest guy, but he doesn't have the sort of mileage on his body that a lot of his contemporaries do, though. So
I'm saying future, and I'll tell you why. Would El Desperado be in the situation he's in right now if it wasn't for Hiromu's injury?
No, he wouldn't.
Right. Okay. So the company, called an audible due to the injury, and I think they picked the right guy. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know if the company was like, okay, Desperado's our guy, as opposed to, fuck, our guy is on the shelf for 6 months. We need to find a 1A. Desperado's our guy. And there's a difference. So, no. I mean, he can be the future. If he does remarkable, yes, absolutely. Could they build him to be a challenger for Hiromu to really pop some houses for real? Yes, they could. I believe that. But to sit here and say that they had the idea of El Desperado being the guy to lead this division in 2021, I don't think that's the case.
James says, what's the most disappointing ending to a New Japan show you remember? Dominion 2019 comes to mind, but I'm sure there are better examples out there. Wrestle Kingdom 12 is a big one. I mean, disappointing for Naito fans. And I think a lot of people were just very shocked by that ending. I don't know would you classify that as disappointing? You got a better example?
I mean, that's a disappointing, for sure. I think the people in the house for when Hogan won the IWGP tournament and knocked out Inoki, maybe some people were disappointed in that. I think the Ricky Choshu stuff where they fucked everybody. They built up that match forever, and then they screwed him over by bringing in Vader. That the riot at Sumo Hall may have something to do with that disappointment. So yeah, there were other things that where people were disappointed and felt like they were fucked over, but yeah, I would put them on the top of the list.
PD says, question for Damon, who's your favourite wrestler from Mid-South? Finally checked out after hearing you talk about it over the years, and it's awesome.
I'm sorry, you broke up. What was the question? I'm sorry.
PD says, question for Damon, who's your favourite wrestler from Mid-South? Finally checked it out after hearing you talk about it over the years, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. It's old school territory wrestling. My favorite from that time period, DiBiase was pretty great. Dick Murdoch was really good too during the Mid-South run. Midnights were great. That like the tag team things were fucking awesome. So yeah, Rock and Rolls was probably the biggest one. But even like Junkyard Dog and Bill Watts and like UWF was pretty, like when Mid-South tried to expand to become UWF, and that 86 area. Oh my God. Freebirds. I loved John Tatum and Eddie Gilbert and Missy Hyatt and Jack Victory. I love those guys. Fantastics are fantastic. Best, one of the, maybe, Rock and Rolls is probably top of the list, but Babyface tag team, Fantastics were really good. I know I sound like Joe Lanza here, but absolutely. Freebirds were unbelievable. Terry Gordy was so fucking good. And even like their big man feuds, like Gordy and Doc and One Man Gang and Duggan, DiBiase, that whole mix. I don't know. You could fucking go for days from Mid-South. And that whole run, like 82 to like 86, 87, there's always good shit, and they were getting guys just plucked left and right by WWF at the time. Duggan, big star Mid-South, gone. Junkyard, big star, gone. Butch Reed, big star, gone. DiBiase, big star, gone. Like they were just getting fucking poached, and they still found ways to at least try to tread water. And then they would bring in other guys, and away we went. So. Yeah, I mean, look, as much as you look back on shit and things don't necessarily land with how the world is today, pro wrestling-wise, Mid-South is really fucking great. Really great, just episodic pro wrestling. That stuff that made sense, and even in the goofy world of pro wrestling, and I don't know, just really one of my favorite territories and my favorite times. Absolutely.
All right, well, let's call it a day there. So redcircle.com/shows/super-j-cast if you want to throw some money our way. Very much appreciated. Thank you, everyone who has done so. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. And if you want to shout out, just let us know that you did it, and we'll happily give you a name check on the show. Discord link is in the show notes. If you want to get one of our t-shirts, you can go to @CobraKawaii or prowrestlingtees.com/superjcast. Big thank you to editor Dan. Find him on Twitter @LousyHero219. Subscribe to the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network for other great shows. Give us a 5-snake review on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter @TheSuperJcast. Thank you everyone for listening, and goodbye.
It's time for a reboot. Not a do-over, but a do-everything. A time to hike this, taste that, camp here, and road trip there. In a place that's wide open for new memories. South Dakota. Out here, adventure goes with the territory. Whether you're backpacking in Badlands National Park or diving into Lewis and Clark Lake. When you're ready, get back to nature and back to what you love. Get inspired at TravelSouthDakota.com.
Get away and explore the great outdoors with RV Share, the nation's largest RV rental website. RV Share offers thousands of RVs to choose from nationwide, including camper vans and luxury motorhomes. They'll even deliver to your destination. Plus, enjoy peace of mind with 24/7 roadside assistance and insurance on every rental. Bring your friends, family, or just yourself and tap into the freedom of the open road. Start planning your next adventure today. Head to rvshare.com/Denver. That's rvshare.com/Denver. RV Share. Go beyond.